Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I'm here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about Star Wars, because we are.
Remember that video we did when no one cares about Star Wars anymore, and then it just all blew up after that?
Yeah, people care about bad Star Wars news. I'm starting to get to the point now where people are... I believe that people are so fed up with Star Wars, you could give them the best Star Wars news on the planet, and they would be like, nah, I just want to watch it burn at this point.
Yeah, I think so. Well, I kind of get mouthy in this article, actually, so I call some stuff out.
All right, so there's a rumor. You're going to have to lead me on this one. We're going to talk about a couple things. There's a rumor that Lucasfilm is going to make an interconnected Filoni-verse.
Yes. Okay,
that's one, and then we're going to talk about George Lucas's feelings. George Lucas and Jon Favreau's feelings on The Last Jedi. So we'll talk about that after this. So tell me what's going on.
So apparently there's a rumor. Scroll down. I can't remember who had the rumor. It was...
LRM Online.
Yeah, LRM Online. Apparently the new rumor, which actually is something that goes along with some things we've heard before, is that their new idea is they're going to have several different shows that have different characters, but they're all going to be interconnected. So think like Marvel, where everybody had independent movies and they had, but they still were connected somehow. Or they use Game of Thrones as their example. Like, you said Arrowverse, something like that, where they're all connected somehow,
like
but they're all different. So that's what they're planning. That they're supposedly planning on doing this. It's supposedly going to start around mid-2001, and they're saying it's going to be one show every quarter. Because don't you know that brand fatigue suddenly disappeared?
Yeah, what happened to all the brand fatigue? There's too much Star Wars, so now let's just take a break. Oh, look, Baby Yoda's making money. Let's make about 19 different shows. That's
exactly, I think, what happened.
This does feel like Arrow.
Basically, yeah, here's the rumored plan. Okay, now Obi-Wan and Cassian Andor would be their own things. They wouldn't fall into this. But they're saying that these were all tied together. The Mandalorian, Ahsoka Tano, Boba Fett, Ezra and Grand Admiral Thrawn, and then an unnamed Star Wars show. Now this makes sense because there's a lot of these characters. There's rumored to be appearing on The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So this kind of ties into what we've already heard. But then here's my next question: Filoni's going to be overseeing all of this. Where's Kathleen? Filoni's the new emperor now, and I'm like, and I'm sorry, I had to get this in there. I said maybe Kathleen will be overseeing her Leslie Headland narrative show. The Thank God Star Wars now will have a strong female-led show that will take place in an alternate time with new Force rules show.
That's what they're.
That was a mouthful.
That's what they're going to call it.
You're right. Don't make a joke about a mouthful because I can tell by your face you're trying to think of one. You were! Oh my god!
Your name is Darth Mouthful.
So I get to see his face. He's trying to make a joke about it, and I was like, don't.
Open up and swallow the dark side.
Stop! I knew you were going to do it. I can tell by your face. So, basically, what's going on is because, like you said, that's what I think happened. It's all brand fatigue until Baby Yoda took off, and now it's going to be. It's good. I said I hope they don't turn this in The Mandalorian into the Baby Yoda cash cow show. Because they got Mandalorian right, but they start just shoving Baby Yoda down everybody's throats. I think they could
open up and swallow the light side.
I think they're just pushing. They'll be pushing too hard, and just stop. You can see his face right now. They're pushing too hard to make money, and they're going to ruin everything.
Yeah, that's it. It's like Disney got a little bit. They're like, oh, we're on to something, Bob. You're right, Bob. Let's make more of this. And damn, the parks are closed, and we need to. God, we got to make some more money. Let's just make as many of these freaking Mandalorian shows as possible. And it does remind me of Arrow. Like, Arrow started out as a good thing, and then they blew up into the Arrowverse, and that became a convoluted cluster F.
Well, that's what this is going to be, because this does tie into what we've already heard. Of course, it's a rumor, but it does tie into it. It's not like a far-reaching one, because anybody who's following along knows about there's supposed to be Ahsoka Tano in The Mandalorian, and everybody said that Grand Admiral Thrawn might show up in The Mandalorian. Everybody knows Boba Fett's probably going to show up in The Mandalorian. So it would make total sense if this rumor were true, because we know those characters are all going to be in The Mandalorian.
And Filoni's like, all my OCs are coming to life because they're in the real world now.
That's
they're
right.
Not just cartoons you can blow off.
So he's in charge of all of this and making sure that it apparently meshes together. So, like I said, we had Favreau, and then now where is he? And then Kathleen Kennedy, and where is she? We're
going to talk about that. So there is some controversy about Filoni. I guess he was making some comments at some kind of a women's Hollywood something show, And people are starting to think like, oh no, he's had Kathleen Kennedy use her Jedi mind tricks on him that seems to indicate that he is completely on board with a lot of the changes to Star Wars. We don't want to think that's the case. He is a Pittsburgh native. And
I keep forgetting that.
He's got an awesome hat. Well, awesome is maybe not the word I'd use for it, but it does seem like, you know, Lucasfilm is becoming more and more of a hive mind now, and it's not the same Lucas. We did a video on this before about you know, people who worked at Lucas before Disney came in, you know, and people who work there now, and it does seem like it's a very different environment,
right?
You know, and we can see it. We can see it with the movies. We can see it with the stupid decisions like the High Republic. I almost said the High Guardian Spice.
Well, stupid decisions. You know,
that's the Dune
wrapped
reboot.
Up there. Yeah,
that's the Dune reboot. High Guardian Spice.
Okay, I don't think so. But anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, so you know, there's been a lot of discussion about this civil war that's brewing within Lucasfilm, and there was an interview on Geeks and Gamers. They did a live stream with Cameron Pasha, who works in Hollywood. He's the guy who, I guess, he teaches what not to do, how not to write a screenplay using The Last Jedi.
I don't blame him. That's a really good example of how not to write a screenplay.
And now they marked this rumor. Bounding in the Comics did sort of a wrap-up of this, but they marked it as a rumor. But the rumor is George Lucas and Jon Favreau hate Star Wars The Last Jedi. Now, George Lucas hates everything Disney does. I just don't think he's allowed to say anything because he used the white slavers terminology before, and I think the Bobs...
How mad did he have to be to say that, though? You know what I mean?
Well, they did a bait and switch. They're like, yeah, sure, George, we're going to take care of your baby. Sure. Sure we are. Sure we are. And then they tossed his treatments out, and he was under the impression that they were going to use it. And
he probably went to all this trouble getting it to them, making sure they're, you know, complete. Spent all that time, and then they're like, up, out the door.
Yeah. And then we see that their plan wasn't any better because the sequel trilogy was dog shit. So George Lucas didn't like it, but he didn't say anything about The Last Jedi. Jon Favreau apparently hates The Last Jedi too, but he's not saying anything about it.
Well, here's the thing. We work with a lot of people in Hollywood. We know we have a lot of connections. And
you don't. You lie.
I know.
You're a liar. Who do you think you are?
Let's back up for a bit. So this dumbass cartoon guy decided to write an article about us because he was mad about the Kevin Smith thing. And he said, they claim they have a bunch of Hollywood sources. They don't. I checked. And everybody's like, how did you check? You know, anyway.
He went to each and every door in Hollywood and knocked and asked them, do you know Clownfish TV?
Well, clearly he didn't check because, you know, we did. Anyway. So we know all the people, and we hear often, there are a lot of people in Hollywood who don't like The Last Jedi. But they aren't allowed to say anything because if you want to work for Disney, if you want to, you know, you can't backstab. Don't, you know, what is it? Don't bite the hand that feeds you kind of thing.
Don't shit where you eat.
Yeah. So they can't say anything because, you know, it could affect them negatively down the road. I mean, now that the floodgates are open, everybody's complaining about it. They might be allowed to say it now, but back then they couldn't. It was like the Emperor's New Clothes. Like all these people were like, oh my God, what a glorious outfit. There's a bunch of people like, he's naked, you know? Yeah. It's like that. A lot of people in Hollywood thought it was crap and they didn't like it. And you know, Rian Johnson might be a good director doing his own things. And I'm not saying he's not. But he is not the person that should have been doing a Star Wars film. When he brags about how he subverts expectation, he deliberately said he went out to try to undo everything. I mean, why you thought that was a good idea, I will never understand. He was not a team player, clearly. No. So, you know, a lot of people in Hollywood could see right through it, and they're like, this doesn't make any sense. And, you know, so it would not surprise me in any way if people that are in knee-deep in this stuff didn't like it.
Yeah, I think it's... Look, anybody who grew up with Star Wars, most people are going to watch The Last Jedi and be like, what the hell did you do to Luke? Now, it does have its fans, but I'll be honest, it seems like a lot of people who defend The Last Jedi are newer Star Wars fans. Yeah. You know, people who grew up with the original trilogy, Luke was their hero, and to see him destroyed the way that he was...
They're the newer fans, or they're ones that are down with Twitter.
Yeah.
You know,
down with Twitter.
Down with Twitter. And
that's going to be a movie.
The Twitaganda.
Twitaganda. So let's talk about this. Bounding in the Comics did a write-up about it. I did watch a clip of it. It's very interesting. Now, Pasha doesn't seem to care at this point. He's like...
I guess a lot of Hollywood doesn't care anymore. They're letting it fly.
I think because The Rise of Skywalker came and went, now that trilogy's over. And here's how Hollywood works. Is whatever is now has to be defended. And if you think you're going to get brownie points after it's been out of the theater, for something, and not saying that Pasha's doing this, but just saying you're going to see more people come out now and say like, yeah, that the sequel trilogy was dog shit.
Yeah, because they're allowed to now. Heck, the actors are.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, they are.
So,
they are.
You know?
You're gonna hear about this thing for years. I think one of these days, Mark Hamill is, whenever his non-disparagement is up or whatever, or he just doesn't give a shit anymore, he's going to come right out and say, I hated it. I hated it. I hated what they did to Luke. I hated how they demonized some of the fans. I just hated the whole thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of them were upset about how the fans were demonized. It's kind of like what we saw with Melanie Britt with She-Ra. She was really upset because she's like, even if you do something new, you can't. Your go-to marketing can't be that if you don't like it, you're a piece of shit because you're old boomer, and that's basically what they tried to do. Anyway.
All right, so this new rumor details both George Lucas and Jon Favreau, which might explain why he's not supposedly in this Filoni-verse, unless he's being eyed to take over for Kathleen Kennedy. I don't know.
There's no word on her other than that she has a thing with Leslie Headland that was very suspicious and
I know.
Apparently caused a lot of problems.
So the word is both George and Jon Favreau hated The Last Jedi. The rumor comes from Nikita, Sleeper Cell, and Bionic Woman producer Cameron Pasha, who recently spoke with Jeremy at Geeks and Gamers, who had his Twitter account canceled because he posted too many memes of the Last of Us Part 2.
Yes, I think I'd fight that.
I would fight. Do you really want to waste your time on Twitter, though?
That's true.
Pasha stated, I don't have an internal knowledge. I do have people who know George Lucas personally and who have said to me that he hates The Last Jedi. He's horrified by what has happened.
Well, especially since the split in the fandom. I mean, he spent years doing even with the prequels. I mean, people didn't like it, but it wasn't like it is now with the big divide. It just really wasn't.
Yeah. And they even said, the other guy that worked for Lucasfilm, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he did the making of books. We did a video on him, and he said that George would laugh. He'd watch these YouTube videos and laugh, and he was disappointed that fans didn't like the sequel trilogy more, but he wasn't angry. He
let fans do a lot more than Disney does. Like, he used to let them have comics, about it. He let them do
sound effects. He let them have sound effects.
He was a lot more lenient about that stuff because he looked at it. Hey, as long as they love it and they're promoting it, it benefits me. So.
Yep. So. He said he's had screenwriters that have worked with Lucasfilm, and they told him directly that he hates it. Pasha continued, so when I started getting people to talk to me privately, someone who I will not identify good.
Yeah, we understand that.
Who I know has very deep roots inside of Lucasfilm today and the George Lucas camp, as in personal relationships with Lucas himself, have said to me that Lucas had said privately he feels The Last Jedi, and to use the actual word, was soulless, that lacks a soul, and that he was so shocked.
It didn't even make sense. I mean, there was no cohesiveness in this Disney trilogy at all.
It was about deconstructing Luke and introducing a bunch of new characters that existed just to, like you said before.
It was a fanfic.
It was
like,
fanfic.
These are my OCs. I gotta kill the old ones off, kill the past, so I can put my new ones in charge.
Yeah. Wow.
Sorry, that's my Brit expectations.
So, yeah, it was weird because JJ had his OCs, and then Ryan came in with his OCs.
And he's like, your OCs aren't good enough other than Rey because she's already established, but I'll ruin your other OCs and then put my OCs in. And
God. Pasha later emphasized the validity of his source, saying, I don't have the slightest bit of doubt from the source I got from whom I know it was, who knows Lucas. I know that he knows Lucas. He details that Favreau also hated The Last Jedi. I'm going to say this, and I've never revealed this publicly. I have a friend who's close with Jon Favreau and has worked on several of his movies, and this is what he said to me. And I don't know Jon Favreau. He said to me, Jon Favreau hates The Last Jedi. Favreau did not say this to me. I love Jon Favreau, and I hope I'm not burned by a chance to work with him in the future.
No, because, I mean, I believe he doesn't like it, and I'll tell you why. When you look at The Mandalorian, it was you could tell they worked very hard to try to make it feel like Star Wars, and the people who made The Mandalorian got with Star Wars. And I could see someone who made The Mandalorian not appreciating those who didn't get Star Wars.
Yeah, well, this is it. He actually called it out. And Favreau, he had clout because he was, he basically kickstarted the MCU with Iron Man.
He clearly knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. So he said, this is coming from a friend who I know has worked on Favreau's productions in his inner circle multiple times. He said to me that Favreau told him that once he saw The Last Jedi, he realized that Star Wars was out of control, and that he actively lobbied to get involved in it because he's a fan and wanted to save the franchise. So that's what happened. He added, it wasn't just that Lucasfilm went after him, but he was like, guys, I can help you with this. You guys are on the wrong track.
Right, and then that lends credence to the whole Kathleen Kennedy is pissed, and there's a Favreau Kathleen Kennedy battle going on. That lends credence to all those rumors as well. And plus, I'm telling you, we were hearing way before even The Mandalorian came out, we were hearing that there was a ton of people who hated The Last Jedi in Hollywood. So this is no surprise to us at all.
Yeah, so it seems like this is going to come up again and again and again, that George Lucas is having seller's remorse, that there are people in Hollywood, and it does sound like a civil war. It's like a civil war over the soul of what was once the most profitable, popular science fiction fantasy franchise in the world, and now it's a shell of its former self. Even with The Mandalorian, it's a step in the right direction, but Star Wars is never going to be where it was before.
No, and I'm worried about moving forward because when you saw those whiteboards with their ideas and
diversity and dinosaurs
were above story, that concerns me. I'm not going to lie. Now, I did see in the other article too, they said about the only thing you ever hear is about his one representative saying that he thought it was amazing film and stuff. That's the only time. Yeah, right here. The only thing I've ever heard was that Lucas really said that his representative that it was beautifully made.
He could be talking about the cinematography.
Yeah, some of the cinematography wasn't bad.
Yeah, I will say that the Last Jedi looks good. It's a good looking movie.
Well, no, some of the characters, I mean...
Well, I'm just talking like the composition and even the throne room battle, which literally made no sense, but it was visually it was nice. It was pretty.
I mean, and there's a lot of ugly things like the milk thing. What is that called again? I don't even remember. I don't even care enough to pay attention. And I hate porgs. I know a lot of people love porgs. I am not a porg fan. So to me, the porgs, because they were just basically what it was there's too many. Was it puffins or something?
Yeah.
In the shots, so they just made a character up to disguise it. And I just never been a fan of porgs. They annoy me.
Yeah. I mean, but it was a good looking movie. But that could be what he was talking about.
Razzle dazzle.
Razzle dazzle.
It was a glittery polished turd.
It was a glittery. It was like one of what was from Trolls. Guy Diamond. Guy Diamond took a dump.
That's right. Hey, speaking of Guy Diamond, this is kind of unrelated, but it relates. There is some new virtual runs from Universal, and among them, they're going to be Trolls medals, and they have brushable hair. They are literally a medal with troll hair that you can brush. And Guy Diamond is in among them, and I picked him. I'm doing the 10K because he's glittery, sparkly, and he's got brushable hair, and he's naked, so that's just more fun. So I picked him. There
you go. Yeah, brushable hair medals. Well, hey, Celebration's canceled. So
that's right. Celebration's canceled, and it's not coming back till 2022. You might be able to get some of the merchandise that was exclusive. I'm not, I don't know if that's going to be only for ticket people or not, but the way it sounds, they might put that to everybody. So I don't know. Yeah, we went last year, and the only thing I was interested in was the holiday special lunchbox and the backpack. Yeah, well, the only thing about Celebration I ran into was I think that's one you can go one day. I mean, I understand there's a lot of panels. You might want to go multiple days for panels or whatever. But honestly, after a few hours, it was like, yeah, okay. Yeah, we were there for multiple days. It was like, why? Oh my God, we were there for like 3 or 4 days. I'm like, I am so freaking bored. Like, you only walk around the floor hump so many times. Yeah. And plus, I was very, very, very sick, so it wasn't. Yeah. I was the bringer of the Congress that year. Yeah. I had to go for work. I couldn't get out of it. Then their flight got delayed a day and all that. And I just wanted to go home. I was so sick, and I went home and had to get antibiotics. This year, though, I would have considered it because it was at the Anaheim Convention Center, which is right across the street from Disneyland. So I'd be like, I'm bored. I'm going to Disneyland. It's going to be in Anaheim in 2022. Yeah, 2022. So you can also go. I don't know. I'll tell you the truth. I am at this point. I am completely numb to Star Wars. Like, we saw the trailer for the new game. The X-Wing game. Oh, yeah, the Squadron game, and I don't even know what it's called because I don't give a shit. I thought it looked cool. Yeah, notice how it's original trilogy timeline because it's right after Return of the Jedi. Yeah, which they keep going back to that. Well, right, it's all original trilogy anymore because that's what people care about. I still love Star Wars, but I'm an original trilogy girl, and some of the books that no longer count. Yeah, I did like the prequels. I know a lot of people, I get a lot of crap for that, but I did like them. I think they were good ideas executed
haphazardly.
Yeah, I think some of the acting was just...
The acting was
I think the acting and some of the dialogue was just really bad. But anyway.
The acting was not good. I guess if Lucas was going for that 30s kind of cheesy sci-fi Buck Rogers feel, the prequels...
But he nailed it.
He nailed it with that. But anytime I see anything Star Wars at this point, I am like completely numb to it. Like I gave The Mandalorian a chance. I wasn't even in any rush to watch it. And I didn't like the first episode, but I got into it and I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. But now that they're going to glut the market with all this other stuff, I'm just like...
I'm concerned.
I'm concerned too. I have concerns. All right, so we're going to wrap this one up.
Yep.
Okay, so please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.
Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.